Yeah. Okay, I'm going to make a deal with you, all right? I want to do things slightly different. I will take off my hat to show respect. And you're going to put on your phone, please. Please, show respect to my panelists, ladies, okay?
I love it.
Thank you, thank you. You know, there's another reason you got to put down your phone, because I'm going to do slightly different. So far, I have not seen a lot of questions from you. That is not the way David wants. David say, Mark, go there, get them asking questions. So I'm going to, if you don't put down the phone, I may say, gentlemen, that gentleman who doesn't have a hair, you ask a question. I may point out, even though I don't know your name. So I would like to say, really, let's have some interaction. This is the time. Well, I have to say, so far, you know, Ralph did a great job of keeping the time, but Daniel just eat up my 5 minutes, so I need 5 more minutes, okay? All right, 4 minutes, deal. All right, look at this. We have all lady panels. I was just outside 10 minutes ago. A VC gentleman, haven't seen me for a long time. He says, Mark, how come all your panelists are ladies? I said, they are simply better, man. They are better. So really, with that said, let me say just 1 minute or so about myself, then they will introduce about themselves. The singular keynote speaker was spectacular. I'm so glad it's focused on healthcare. Now it's about money to make all this technology working, develop drugs, save lives. That's why I want you to ask question. Why? Because you either there's two kind of people in the audience, right? Either you're involved with biotech, pharmaceutical company, or you're going to have a disease. Guess what? So that's why it's so important for you to ask any question. Even some question you have early on, you didn't have a chance. Now you got a chance. Okay, myself, I came to the United States from mainland China. You can hear my very heavy accent. From mainland China, I got my degree here, and then in '93, I think I can claim I was the first mainland Chinese from mainland China start a drug development company. So since then, I've been, you know, due for, and then so me need a lot of money from them. So we developed one drug, saved a lot of life. That's all about me. So I'm going to turn over to my three investor ladies, introduce themselves first. Talk about yourself, please. Go ahead.
Okay, great. It's pretty loud. My name's Hongbo Liu. I'm a partner at Lilly Asia Ventures. Are we going to introduce the fund now or just ourselves?
Just about yourself.
Okay. I'm a Ph.D. by training and have some finance background. Has been in the industry for probably close to 20 years old.
Hi, my name is Karen Liu. Obviously, I grew up in China. I came to the US for college and graduate school. I'm trained in immunology, got my PhD in the late 90s, and then returned back to China 20 years ago. So I was one time in McKinsey consultant, a couple of years in internet entrepreneur, and finally returned to where I believe I should be in healthcare. So I've been doing healthcare investing initially as an angel investor and then subsequently with different funds. I've been investing in healthcare for the past 15 years. So first 10 years mostly in China, but in the past few years, also for family reasons, spending more time here. So.
Hi everyone, this is Yuwen. I graduated from China Pharmaceutical University with a master's degree in formulation, and after that I joined a company called Capsugel, used to be part of Pfizer. I mean, when we joined, it was Warner Lambert, and then Pfizer bought us because of the best-selling drug for a time was Lipitor. 6 years with that company, then I joined another company called Paragon. Recently, I heard from the news that Amazon has has a collaboration with Perrigo, which is one of the largest manufacturer of OTC and a supplements company, to launch like products online, something like that. I was the company's first China general manager for 3 years. And then I went back to my hometown, Suzhou, the city next to Shanghai. Nowadays, it's only 20 minutes by train. I started to build a life science park called BioBay, B-I-O-B-A-Y. So for 10 years, we started to building from scratch. Then after, in 2014, I believe, time passed so fast. So when I left, it was hosting 450 companies. And after that, I started this fund called BOHE, which stands for Mint in Chinese, angel fund, purely focused on really, really early stage from university spin-off. So glad to be here. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, ladies. Now, I promised the interaction, and I will. So let's go one more round, then we'll start, open the floor, okay? Right now, as you notice, that we're all Chinese American. In this very particular time, there's a big tension between US and China. There's trade, a war, kind of. However, no matter how you fight, we got to live. We got to take drugs. So, healthcare is borderless. That's why we want to, China now become the second biggest economy. And then there's overall, globally, I think if you talk to David, he will call a nuclear winter in terms of capital market investment. So, but our ladies may share different views. Now, I want to, now you know their personal background. Now I want them to quickly talk about their fund and their focus. And then maybe using some case, if you can, to see, go back to our title. In 2020, the incoming years, what's going to be our challenge? Where lays the opportunities? If we can start with Hongbo, please. Yeah.
Okay. So Lilly Asia Ventures, by the name, actually, it has roots in the U.S. It was established by Eli Lilly as a corporate venture back in 2008. For the first maybe 5 years, the investment was entirely in China. And then since then, we have done substantial investment in the U.S. as well. I think, disease has no border, right? If a drug can cure people in the US, it for sure can cure people in China, vice versa. And then if we can help a Chinese company to make better drugs, we probably can help a US company to make drugs too. So so the fund has grown pretty big over the years. We currently manage about 2.4 billion in total, entirely in healthcare, most in therapeutics and some medical devices as well.
I want to remind people, prepare your question, because I'm serious. I'm going to say, this gentleman, you have a question. We have a microphone. This gentleman is going to run around to help you out. Okay, so prepare your question. Yes, Karen, please.
Yeah, I started 3E Bioventures about 4.5 years ago with a few other partners. We are 100% dedicated to healthcare investing, both in China and globally. We started out first in China, but also looking very actively outside of China. So right now we're pretty small. We have about 300 million AUM, and we invest mostly in two directions. About half of what we invest is therapeutics. We really look for the best-in-class or first-in-class, truly novel therapeutics that address unmet medical needs. The other half of our fund, we tend to invest what I call the cross-sector innovations, especially innovations that applying mature technologies in IT, like semiconductors, sensors, software, and using this to transform device and diagnostics, make them more smart devices and diagnostics instead of the traditional device and diagnostics. So for the past 4.5 years, we've built up over 30 portfolio, both in China and also outside of China. For family reasons, I'm here a lot. I have a home also in the Bay Area, so I split my time between China and the Bay Area.
When you have a chance to ask a question, please introduce yourself, just your name, your company. Get ready after this one, please.
All right. So from the previous introduction, you can tell I have a background which not very academic or scientific, but being in the industry long enough, knowing the market's needs, especially for the whole healthcare prevention, screening, diagnostic, treatment, and so on. So what I see, and also hearing from the previous keynote speech, we realized that technology already entering into a stage of lots of the converge. But end of the day, you have to make sure the biology is right. You have to have the solid science. So which saying like the common saying is like garbage in, garbage out. We really want to make sure if the science is right, then the mechanism is correct, then we find the right target, then we have try to identify through lots of new technology or big scale screening or drug design, then you have a good viable drug. So coming from this philosophy and also my previous experience of building a life science park, helping entrepreneurs to find a space to realize their dream, I come up with the idea of, okay, how about I do something really focused on helping the good scientists with the good biology to set up the company and have the first round of money from us and finding potential partners, set up the team, shape up the strategy, and then find a Series A follow-up investment. So that's pretty much a strategy, and that's what we're doing. So we are a very small fund. It's only adding together Fund 1 and Fund 2. The scale is $60 million US, but it's renminbi fund. So our main focus in China. So we have already invested in 24 companies. 2/3 are therapeutics, 1/3 are diagnostic device and equipment. That's all.
All right, let's open up the floor. I'm taking risk, right? Because I'm break the norm here. If you don't ask question, I look very bad. So I'm going to give you an incentive. Anybody ask a question later can claim $20 from me. That's for real. I'm serious. Okay, so you see, these ladies are modest. They all have advanced degrees. So even you have a question, for example, my aunt just have a certain cancer, and what is the status of research? They can answer it. I'm serious. They may. So maybe audience as a people. So let's have some hands. Great. Thank you. You got $20.
Thank you. The $20 is actually a bonus. I'm just so blown away by your backgrounds and the knowledge you're sharing. My name is Cynthia. I'm with the Greater Sacramento Economic Council. I'm the Vice President of Innovation there. It's a regional group that's run by 44 CEOs and then some local governments in the Sacramento area, but I'm based here. We pretty much want to try to create an ecosystem of innovation that keeps companies in California while they're still growing and expanding. And biotech is one of the strongest industries that we're growing in. And I work a lot with corporates building open innovation models. So I see a lot of dots that can connect between the three of you. You mentioned you have expertise with building these parks with universities, and then you've all been inventor in helping these early startup stages. Lilly has a corporate fund. What would you say are the 3 key ingredients to actually create a better open innovation model in these times that we are living?
Great question. So who want to take on? Please. Hongbo, go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm going to pay you $20 if you don't ask hard questions. But honestly, that's not the area I'm personally very familiar with, but I'll be happy to take a stab. I think it takes, we invest, there's 3 major hubs we invest in the US. I would say California, definitely, San Francisco, San Diego, and Boston, some of the Pennsylvania and New York. In comparison, I think San Francisco Bay Area somehow the momentum is not as strong as Boston area from where I can see, and I can be totally wrong. I think it would, in order to accelerate innovation, it take many parties. Academics need to work together better. The government need to support, and then the financial investors have to, chip in as well. And then, based on what I know, actually the strategics are, the large pharma companies are still very much attracted to the area. For example, Eli Lilly is open a innovation incubator in the Bay Area, and then there are selective criterias of companies they will be able to take in with some kind organized back office and a lab space to facilitate innovation. JJDC, which is Johnson & Johnson, also has an incubator here. So I think there's lots of things we can do together to catch up with Boston.
Yeah, I'll add a little bit to that. You asked the 3 key components. For us, thinking about investment, there are several things on top of our head. Number 1 is innovation and talent. You really have to have the best and first innovations, not followers, not the number 10, not even number 5. You really have to be number 1 in coming up with some brand new ideas that truly serve unmet medical needs. And second is you really have to have a top team. There are many scientists trying to be CEOs and entrepreneurs, but if they don't have the industry experience, it's very hard. I would say this is the most important thing. But then nowadays with capital, I would say slowing down. At least we see it slowing down. For funds like Lilly, you have billions, and that's never an issue, right? But ability to raise money is also very important. I see people constantly on the road. That's a way of life. It's not just you raise it for 3 months and you go back to your work. People raising money is selling. So ability to raise money, to be able to communicate your ideas, and also be very scrappy. I mean, we can talk about some of the challenges. I see some companies, that's later on, but some startups are losing the scrappiness. I don't see people there. I don't see people there who are gritty, who are truly entrepreneurial. They're hired professional managers because they got loaded with so much money. They got a Series 80 million Series A round, 150 million Series B. They're loaded with cash, but then they lose some of the grittiness there. Anyway, that may not answer your question.
Okay, yeah. If we are filming, I can say in the morning or later, at the given time, I paid attention. About 50 to 70 people are looking at the phone, but now only 3%. I'm very proud of you. Thank you. So I have $80 more to spend. So who want to take a next $20? Please, any question? Healthcare, you got, please, this gentleman. Thank you. Microphone, please. Briefly introduce yourself. We got to have fun here, all right?
Yeah, I'm David Matheson with SmartArg. I remember reading a Scientific American article that said that CRISPR was the biggest invention of this century, comparable perhaps with quantum mechanics in the previous century. They're speculating, of course. And there's been a big wave of CRISPR investments and breakthroughs, but is that still going? Where do you guys see CRISPR as a technology ripe for investment or not in the next few years?
Okay, I'll take a first. CRISPR is a very important tool. It's so useful. Many scientists love it. Fundamentally, it's a tool. But I'm only speaking from an investor perspective. You have to turn that into a product. That's what eventually will focus. For a lot of the biotech companies, if you just say, we are a great platform, but show me the product. That's always our view. Platforms is a plus. I would say we give them another 20 or 30% valuation markup, but not platform story itself cannot support. That's in my view. Itself alone, you always have to convert that into a real product. So we ask a question, CRISPR as a tool, you can correct this gene, you can make it faster, easier to correct certain genes, show me the pipeline. So I think, I've heard it many times, hundreds of scientists say, this is such a good tool, it's very useful, no doubt. And I would say it's almost like PCR, it transformed the industry.
I have challenge for you, Hongbo.
Before you challenge, can I say something?
Yeah, I want you to use a layman language to explain what is CRISPR, because how many people heard the words of CRISPR? Wow, you all heard about it? I'm impressed. That's great, don't worry, then you don't need to explain.
Thank you. Everybody gets $20 from Mark.
Wow, that's really surprising to me. CRISPR is a very highly, professional biology word. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, I think I concur with what Karen said. I mean, CRISPR is very important technology. So far, there are many companies public already, including CRISPR and Editas, and then what's the third one? So I think they're platform play, and then people use it in the lab to make, to do research. Whether or not it will be an in vitro tool, a drug that you can do in vivo editing, we don't know yet. But one thing, if I may, I would add, I think what we see is after small molecule and antibody, and then the third novel modality could be RNA, DNA-based therapy. That probably will, have some very interesting discoveries in the next 10 to 20 years. That's something we're very focused on. But one thing you have to keep in mind is every new tool, when it first appeared, just like in the late 1990s, when the whole genome sequencing first came out, there was a huge rush into genomic research, identify targets, and then, it busted. And then, but, in the past 10 years, all the discoveries and the progress we have made in the therapeutics are built in 20 years ago, all those research in the new genomics. So it definitely is a trend, but we need to have a realistic expectation in terms of how soon it might turn into therapeutics and then make investors money. So which concur with what Karen said entirely.
Do you have anything to add? Yes.
Actually, I'm thinking of combining two questions. Is like CRISPR, like so many people, you know that. So I'm sure that when a company claims they have a CRISPR technology platform company, when they go public or even down the road, you can get a lot of funding. But at the same time, actually, lots of the people don't know, which I think the government and public sector should be aware is, let's say oncology, cancer patient, when they die, lots of patients actually die from infection, like fungal virus. But nowadays, lots of the oncology doctors not working so well with the infective doctors for many reasons. So let's say what the public sector can do better in terms of the healthcare, like well-being, is maybe arouse the interest of that, and even for the private sector, the investment may really dig into the unmet medical needs, which not only the oncology, because people are dying in 3 months, so relatively the investment return circle, it's more understandable, and now it's like you get Series A, angel round, seed round, the Series A, B, C, and public, even just Series A, you go public. It's so clear, the circle, but some other unmet medical needs still there, and it's not yet met. So I think life science park, like incubator, government sector should work better on how to chip that into the easier to understand or quicker return kind of circle. Say, help them to get the money, help them to get the regulatory approval and all of the things. So in overall, because the government need to create the jobs and also improve the society's like well-being. People live better, longer, healthier. So in which way? And also the investors should not only chase those hotspots, but rather really see there are also some other areas can be invested. And also the entrepreneurs, you can also look at not only those hotspots, because you read lots of articles about CRISPR, then okay, how about I do something about that? But actually there are some other needs. So when they were asking, answering the scientific question, that's really I like to understand and know. But at the same time, when I was thinking of being an investor, what is return on investment? What are the needs should I explore? And how I work with the public sector to improve that. And in the end, we are here for the health of our people.
Yeah, can I actually add one more thing, with what Yuwen is saying, and also with the question from Sacramento. I think, as an institutional fund, we have our obligation to our LPs that we need to return the money in a timely fashion. So therefore, we probably, in certain instances, we pay more attention to the financial returns. But one thing that my personal observation is people pay lots of attention in therapeutics. We treat disease after it happens, but there's lack of investment and support for prevention and then screening and diagnostics. It's probably related to the reimbursement policy here, but so to what Yuwen said, probably that calls for the support for the government and then some other sources of funding so that we can stop the enemy, before they get into the gate, and then that probably will be more effective return on investment from healthcare perspective.
Looks like Ralph is here to stop me to give you more money. But you guys have been great. Thank you so much.